All right, welcome back. I'm Jason Whitlock. He's Marcellus Wiley. Time to put on our thinking caps. TJ Houshmandzadeh and Eric Mangini are here as well. As you all know, I'm a journalist, and we've got our resident Ivy Leaguer, Columbia's very own Marcellus Wiley.
Yes.
All right, it's time to go deeper into a sports issue today. We'll do that here in the Thinking Cap. But first, let's bring out Marcellus' special cap.
Oh, wow.
Arnell.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
And Oha, when is that Oregon State 30 for 30 coming on documentary? Anybody?
He gonna watch it too if they ever do it. He gonna watch it.
All right.
I gotta do it.
Let's move to Kansas City, where the Chiefs fans are still reeling from another crushing playoff loss after the Patriots won without Patrick Mahomes ever taking the field in overtime. Some people started calling for a change to the overtime rules that would require both teams to get the ball, while Andy Reid says he supports the current rule. Mahomes' agent, Lee Steinberg, sounded a different tune, tweeting, quote, "Absurdity that two NFL teams play a game for the right to the Super Bowl to fight to a tie. The vagaries of a OT coin flip then grants to only one team the opportunity to score a TD and win without the other team touching the ball." Lee Steinberg, good friend of mine. I've known Lee since 1990. But Lee's wrong here. There's not a damn thing wrong with the NFL's overtime system. That's all I'm going to say for now. Who has a problem with the OT? How could you?
Here.
Go ahead.
And Lee Steinberg, my former agent as well, so I got nothing but love for Lee, and once again, we're in accord. The NFL rule right here, as I quote, states, no more than one 10-minute period will follow a 3-minute intermission. Each team must possess or have the opportunity to possess the ball. Each team, right? So a team is made up of what? 3 units. Offense, defense, special teams. The way that the rule is right now, the way that the system has been implemented, you're only giving 2/3 of that team an opportunity if you go down and score a touchdown. You have the special teams, you kick the ball off, special teams. And then New England says, hey, we got our offense out there. And KC says, our defense out there. But there's one other unit from both sides that didn't even touch the field. So if you think about it, why is it a 2/3 equation? How come you won't let the entire team in all 3 units get an opportunity to dictate what this outcome is going to be? How did you get to this place? In 60 minutes of regulation, you let all units play. You let all units go out there and show that this is what the outcome is going to be. Then you get into the moment of truth and you say, well, we'll just slice 1/3 of that unit away and see what it is. The equivalent in my brain is watching a boxing match for 12 rounds and it's a draw. And someone's like, no, we're not going home until we figure out who is going to win this fight. So they have a 13th round. You're like, oh! And then the ref gets in the middle and says, but you can't throw your best punch. They just went up to KC and said, in the 13th round, you can't put your offense and the NFL MVP out there on the field. To me, it's absurd. We're on the wrong side of history if we continue with this rule.
For me, I like it how it is. New England had 94 plays in that game. 94. You got 45 guys that suit up. In essence, they would have played 2 games worth of snaps in one game had Kansas City got the ball and gone down the field and scored. It's not enough bodies. The league is moved towards health and safety. This is going backwards now. Kansas City had an opportunity. You just got to stop New England. You just got to stop them. You got to.
That's not Kansas City, though.
You have to stop them.
They're Kansas City offense.
It's one of those things where if I'm a Kansas City fan, I want the rule change just off of this game. I would like that. It's not a bad deal.
Fan, I don't.
But health and safety reasons, stop them, Kansas City, you get the ball back. If not, it is what it is.
I'm fine with the way it is during the regular season. I appreciate the health and safety aspect. But in the postseason, there is no 10-minute period. They're going to play until the game's decided. So I think in the postseason, giving each team an opportunity to possess the ball would be a more equitable way to do it. And I don't think anybody would argue for health and safety in that situation.
You don't think the team the following week would be at an advantage for the team that won that game and had to accrue those extra snaps?
Win it in regulation. That's
my point to the Chiefs.
But I'm saying if each team has a chance, because the OT is going to go until it's decided in the postseason. That's a difference from the regular season. So I'm fine with there being a difference of everybody gets a chance at least once to have the ball. You know, if it gets intercepted on the first possession and goes back for a touchdown,
Chiefs did have a chance to get the ball. Stop them on defense, and they would have gotten the ball. That's the game, Marcellus.
That's not their game. And look, why do you make an amendment to the rule, as Coach just pointed out, no more than a 1 10-minute period in a regular season? Oh, but you amend that part. Well, then finish amending it. Why do you have that each team can possess the ball, but you don't let each unit possess the ball? To me, if you're going to start abbreviating it, go all the way with
Marcellus, and Ross Tucker of the NFL Network, very smart guy, very competent guy on the NFL. I haven't been able to double check this, but he says the coin flip winner wins 52% of the time. There's a 2% difference. And we need to change the rule because there's a 2% advantage to winning the coin flip.
Yeah, because you have a number 1 offense and a number 31 defense. And the reason you're in this...
That's not New England's fault.
I'm not saying that you changed the rule because of Kansas City. I say you changed the rule because this team was not multifaceted in terms of its dominance. It was led by its offense.
If they change the rule, they're going to have to expand rosters. It's hard. It's hard to play that many snaps with 45 guys.
Look, if you tap out at 94, you tapped out at 94. But if we got to go 108, we go on 108. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say health and safety in the playoffs, do or die. I'm doing, or else we're dead. And I know that we're using this example because it's KC's offense and it's the NFL MVP on the sideline. But I don't care what team it is. We brought this all 3 units, this entire team. And then you're just going to get you a blade and say, slice. We only want you guys to dictate the outcome when all of you guys are the reason why we're in overtime in the first place.
Right, and if that 1/3 of the 2/3, as you've referenced, had stepped up and stopped it, then the other 3/3 of the team would have got on the field.
I love the math, but
5/3.
right? Absurd thirds. Like, there you go. Y'all know I'm right. Y'all know it's right.
It'd be interesting to see if anybody would be mad if Kansas City had won the toss and walked down and scored. Like, would there be the same level of outrage?
There would be joy
of disappointment
all over America.
As it should be.
And it would be.
No, because look, you saw the best. Like, you don't want the best. The Super Bowl is about what's the best team. And then you want to see the best opponents, the 2 teams fighting for it. You want to see the best representation. We didn't see Kansas City represent itself to the fullest and to its best because of a rule that is archaic in this moment.
And Kansas City had 280-something yards the entire game. New England had over 500. So
New England was the better team, and Andy Reid sinned first. You can blame the NFL all you want, but Andy Reid started the game throwing his defense out on the field.
Yeah.
By choice.
Not in a do-or-die moment.
He won the coin toss and sent his worst unit out onto the field, and the Patriots for 8, 9 minutes stuffed it down their throat, took up 13% of the game, set the tone for a nightmare scenario, and now I'm supposed to... The rules are stated well before the game ever took off. If it goes to overtime, the team that scores a touchdown first wins. We knew going in what the deal was.
Yes.
And so just because we don't like the outcome and Patrick Mahomes didn't get to play in overtime, and love the Chiefs, love Patrick Mahomes, that damn defense needed to make a stop, hold them to a field goal, then their offense gets to play. It's called complementary football.
But where were you in 2009, 2010 when the rule was changed to this rule? Like, there was a moment where we saw the Tuck rule. We saw it with an NFC Championship game in New Orleans. We were like,
I didn't think it needed to change then.
We were like, wait a minute, that's not right. They just went down and kicked the field goal, drove for 40 yards, kicked the field goal, and the game's over. So we changed the rule. I'm saying there are moments in time where you use it to actually implement something new. And this is the moment.
Nobody's complaining about the way the New Orleans game worked out. I mean, we've got it both ways. It worked out fine in that game. And really, there was some justice in New Orleans getting the ball first. If it's 52% or 55%, you could say, okay, they had the blown call, but now they got the extra opportunity to go down and win the game without giving the Rams a chance. I'm fine within the postseason making sure that everybody has one opportunity to possess the ball. I don't think it's a health and safety issue at that point. I think there's a lot of other health and safety things that you can do during the regular season to offset the
Why does health and
possibility.
safety not matter because it's a playoff game? Why?
It's not that it doesn't matter. It's that an outcome has to be determined. So because an outcome has to be determined, you can't be limited in the same ways.
Y'all all in y'all's 40s and young. The NFL overtime used to be about sudden death. That used to be the big thing, sudden death. And so they're trying to preserve sudden death, that on any given play, this game can end in overtime. A team scores a touchdown on their opening possession. It's sudden death. That's what used to be promoted. It used to be a big deal. They're trying to preserve that in overtime, every freaking play matters. Whether this team goes down, score a touchdown, because again, team goes down, score a touchdown. Now the other team goes down, score a touchdown.
Do you make them go for two? Do you make them everybody kick a 50-yard field goal? Like, what is it?
Oh, you know what it is? It's like, hey, you guys are in a draw, and we want to see this fight, but you can't throw your best punch. And that's what happened. They told KC, you can't throw your best punch, but win the fight.
New England threw its best punch, Tom Brady and that offense out there, and it knocked Kansas City out in regulation and again in overtime. Coming up, after watching Kyler Murray, John Gruden says the old rules about quarterbacks no longer apply. We'll get into that.